team, a podcast today with a difference. Stephen Butler, welcome and thank you for your time. But when I say difference, I've never reviewed a product on my show.
I'm glad I'm your first, mate.
You're my first. Now, there's some famous YouTubers that do product reveals and stuff. There's one named Marquez, I think that's how you say his name, Brownlee. Now, he's got like 17.7 million subscribers the last time I looked. There's a nice masterclass he does actually on creating content and stuff and how he started. And he reviews products for a living. I've never done one. But here I am. The other thing I've never done on this show is worn a hat in the studio. So
The Catch Pro.
the camera just picked that up. Catch Pro is the product we're going to reveal, but I don't mind. What do you think of the hat? Because these lights sometimes it glares off my bald head.
Man, I actually, it suits
you like it?
Yeah, it's a really good hat.
Okay, so it might be my new look. I've never worn a hat in the studio, but here we go. We are going to review. The reason I wanted to do this, and I love your passion for it, your vision for it. I'm definitely not one of those channels that review products for a living, but I want to do this one because I actually totally believe in it. Because, just let me share this with you. The reason for this podcast is to help other people, in particular coaches, trainers, teachers, athletes. And then there's another community around the business and the leadership culture style of episodes. But a lot of listeners are coaches, trainers, teachers. So if there's a product I can review that's going to help coaches, trainers, teachers, it's yours. And I don't know if you listen to the show, but in particular, like there was one I did with Nathan Cleary where we talked about fundamentals and we talked about this moment in the grand final when there's a passage of play that Penrith eventually score a try in the corner where every pass, every catch, perfect catch that led to a perfect pass, that led to a perfect catch. And eventually it gets to their centre, Isaac Tunga, who had to catch pass really quickly under pressure for Brian Toto to score. And Nathan and I talked about that, and he talked about Isaac wasn't a natural catch passer as a kid. It took practice, it took effort, it took detail, it took repetition after repetition. Now, the product we're going to go to helps that catch, right? So in this podcast, obviously we're not just going to do an ad for Catch Pro, but I want to hear about how you developed it, where it came from, the idea and whatever. But I just wanted to say I totally believe in it. So any coaches out there listening, where can they find it? Just send us straight there, and then I want to start getting to know you and your history, but send us straight to Catch Pro.
So where can you find it?
Yeah.
Answering that question, we've got the website, which is www.catchprobands.com.au. You'll find us on social medias as well. Catch Pro Bands, Instagram, TikTok.
Yeah, gotcha. We need to get your
Facebook.
TikTok game up, which I believe you don't do. Someone else does.
I've got no idea, mate, to be honest. Yeah.
But, so we share the same passion in fundamentals, right? So I've used the product. So I'm never, ever going to sit on this show and throw a product that I don't agree with.
Yeah.
So I've used it. So this year I was with the Indigenous All-Stars team. So in that team, you're talking Cody Walker, Latrell Mitchell, Nico Hunt, like gun players, right?
The best hands in the game.
So I bring out the Catch Pro bands. Now, some of them who value fundamentals were like, wow, this is cool. Like, who come up with this? I do remember there was one person in the background that, oh, what's this under-8 stuff, you know? I heard one player say it. So I just totally ignore that stuff. Like, I do not entertain negativity at all. Yeah. In fact, I was more excited about the super elite blokes like Latrell saying, oh, how good's this, you know? But then we used them as basically a trial. Like, I hadn't really used it on those types of players before. And anyway, cutting the story short, for the listeners out there, we're just doing basic catch pass drills. Now, we put the bands on, and every catch was perfect. Now, it's not like I was telling them something different. They've always been told early catch, best catch. That's what they've always been told. get your hands in the right position, catch the ball early. And they understand all this, obviously. You're not coaching under 8s at this stage. They understand the value in an early catch. But you put the bands on, and every catch was perfect. We took the bands off, and we did a slightly different drill, but basically the same skill. All of a sudden, there was some catches up here, down here, out in front, one hand on the chest. Like, all of a sudden, the coaches that were looking at this detail were like the head coach of that team, Ronald Griffiths, he comes up to me and Matty Bowen, one of the greatest, like great bloke and great player. Like Matty Bowen actually grabbed him, put him on, and he wanted to use him. They actually come to me and said, that was amazing that when we had the bands on, every catch was perfect, and you took the bands off and not every catch was perfect. So basically what I'm saying to the listeners, the reason I believe in it is in particular those one coaching junior teams, repetition of that perfect catch. So I totally believe in it, mate, but I want to know where it come from and your passion for it.
Yep.
Tell me a bit about that, because you grew up playing fairly elite level junior rugby league. For the listeners that don't know you, I mean, there's an OzTag community that definitely know you. You've captained Australia as an OzTag player.
Yep.
Is it true you designed this with a mate of yours who was also a former captain of the OzTag team before you were the captain? Is that right?
Absolutely.
Okay, so you tell us your version. I've told you what I kind of know. You tell me your version of how this came, and I want you to include how you grew up, what you've learned, who influenced your thinking to get to this level. Because now, again, I need to throw to you, but I just keep talking because I just keep thinking stuff. Now I know this for a fact. The Super League, because at the time I didn't know I was going to be promoting it on a podcast. There was just like friends of mine in England, friends, genuine friends. The Leeds coach, mate, you need to use these. So I know for a fact Leeds Rhinos, he sent me photos using them. Willie Peters at Hull KR, who just played in the Challenge Cup final.
Yep.
Mate, I know he's used them because he sent me photos.
Yeah.
Derek Beaumont, the owner of Lee, I left some with him when I caught up with him in Lee. I don't know that Adrian Lamb used them, but Lee just won the Challenge Cup final. But I do know Adrian Lamb values fundamentals because I watched him coach the Aussie team. Wigan, Matt Pete at Wigan. I know he's got some because I'm at Wigan with him one day and we're doing some stuff, and I said, hey, mate, you need to try these. You should have been paying me, by the way. Anyway, but you can pay for this.
Yeah, no worries, mate.
Anyway, but I know for a fact that there's teams in the English Super League using them. I know they've gone pretty big in France. I know Adam Innes in France is using them a lot, developing the French junior systems and elite systems, pathways. I know there's teams out here using them because I definitely use them.
Yeah.
A lot of junior teams. I've heard rugby union are going hard at the moment. I saw some stuff on your socials in New Zealand.
Yep.
So this is a product that started with you and a mate that's now in England, France, New Zealand, America, I saw.
Yeah, there was a university that jumped on board. Yeah.
America and all across Australia and all sports. So I feel I'm talking to someone who's, when I talk about you should be paying me, I might ask you for a job one day because this product's going global because it's not just rugby league. There's rugby union, there's NFL, there's AFL, there's netball, there's goalkeeping, cricket. Yeah. Mate, there's so many sports I know that are using these now. And I think I'm talking to a potential squillionaire, but anyway,
I don't know about that.
Let me know. Let me know where it comes from.
No, so I'll go right back. So when I was coming through, I went to I was brought up between Villawood and Wayland, and played a lot of park footy. Played in the park, with the kids, but I didn't have really good coaching in rugby league when I played footy. Coming through probably to about 14, I didn't get coached too well. I then went to Westfields when I was 15. I went to Westfield Sports High in year 10.
Yeah,
and I remember turning up. The first skill session I did at Westfields, I was that far behind. the catch pass.
Really?
Like the line running, the catch pass, just the talk, my general game knowledge, I was so far behind. I was this little kid that, little housing commission kid that had decent footwork and, a bit of speed and those types of things. You get some good hand-eye coordination stuff playing in the street, but I wasn't actually coached exactly the right way, on how to do things. And I remember being that far behind at Westfields. My first day, it's so clear to me, right?
Really? Who was the coach? Do you remember?
Yeah, there was a couple of coaches there at the time. You had Andy Patmore, who's now in charge of the women's the NRLW at the Parramatta Eels.
Yeah.
Great coach, great man.
Yeah, great man.
I had there was Don Marnie. He wasn't a known rugby league coach. He was actually a maths teacher at our school, but just a great mentor, a great man, that we really looked up to at the time. Yeah. These types of guys that really helped us, along the way. But I couldn't. I just remember getting to Westfields and the first day, first week, for the first month, I was that far behind. I felt out of my depth.
Okay.
And I put that back to not getting taught the fundamentals coming through as a kid.
Yeah, right.
And so that was the first part.
Yep.
How this eventuated just through a lot of coaching and playing, coming through the grades, and then especially the OzTag scene. Spent a lot of time in that game, 25 years, at the various levels. A big thing in OzTag was how it actually started was the tagging, the defending, because a lot of people tag with one hand. They get lazy and they start to tag with one hand. So a mate of mine, Steve Van Gamet, the co-founder, we often spoke about this sort of stuff when we coach, because we coach and play. There was the tagging with one hand. So every coach in OzTag would know what I'm talking about when they're coaching or playing.
Yeah.
Everyone's talking about tag with two hands, tag with two hands, tag with two hands. It's like when you catch a ball, you don't catch a ball with one hand, do you? You catch it with two. You give yourself a better chance. So then we created this. We created a couple of prototypes that look nothing like they do now, but it was just about getting your hands working together in D, right?
Right.
And I found it's not just your hands. When your hands are working together, your feet, your footwork becomes better. Which H
100%, mate.
Footwork's everything, base, getting yourself in the right position to make a tackle or make a tag or receive a line out. All these types of things. That's it was actually started more around defence.
Right.
So then after we started to look at it and use it, then it was, and I know the best part about tag and these sorts of sports is you're throwing the footy around.
Yeah.
So then we kept saying the same thing: get up, hands up, early catch. I play, men's and stuff now, and there's men's that I still play with. They're catching the ball in their chest.
Yeah.
And then you can lose an opportunity if you let the ball come to your chest, right?
Well, let's go back to that Penrith try. We just talked about that Penrith try in the grand final. If one of those catches is on the chest, the try doesn't happen. Because once you watch the whole play unfold and see the difference between Isaac Tungo getting whacked or catching passing in time, if a split second's wasted there and another split second there and another split second there, he gets tackled. Yep. That try doesn't happen. So for listeners who aren't really rugby league people, understand that when we say this is fundamental, but it's also the most important thing. So that's why I think you're a potential squillionaire. Yeah. So that's why, seriously, that's why I love it, what you're doing.
Yeah.
Fundamentals for me are everything. They're priceless. And by putting this little gadget, you're still saying the same cues about early catch, best catch. But it's almost like if I see anyone wearing them, because now I see junior teams everywhere, right? I saw my own kids' teams this week. It's grand final week, and they got catch pros on in their first 10 minutes of their session, right? So I go, if I see anyone in them, I go, wow, those kids are caring about fundamentals, which is really cool. But I also go, that coach cares about fundamentals, which is even cooler.
Yeah.
Because we all know if there's a coach that's teaching fundamentals to kids, it's going to help them for a long, long time. So, yeah, that's really cool, mate. I love the story, and I know you're pretty humble and you talk yourself down there, but I wouldn't mind going like off topic of the product and just go a little bit about leadership, because it doesn't matter what you're leading, right? Like in your world, in the OzTag world, you're the Australian captain. You know, like
I think I was only named captain because the actual captain he didn't come to training that day.
See, once again, you talk yourself down. But there are listeners of this podcast, if they've got past me talking about rugby league and catching, and even though, sorry, it's not just rugby league, but if they've got past that, there's a lot of people that are into that leadership space, that coaching space. What do you think your characteristics that you value as a leader? So think about, even not yourself, think about the best leaders you've ever worked for. Could be business, could be sport, but what do you value in leadership? And then what do you think you bring to a team as a captain? I want to know from you. I've got a feeling what you would bring, but what do you think?
So as far as leadership goes, I think the best leaders actually get led. Like there's that saying, there goes the people, I must follow them as I'm their leader, right? And I don't know who said that, but I read it there somewhere once.
Yeah.
But it's true. Like I think the best leaders, is those that they don't tell people what to do. It's actually you let them be themselves, and you just join in and support. You know, that's what I've found. And I think that's the same. It's any coaches out there, you got to let people express themselves because everyone's different, right? Everyone's raised different. Everyone has different skill levels. So you've got to let people try and express themselves and then just literally try and support them and guide them through if they're going off track or they're not doing it right. Be really patient. I think patience is a big thing too.
Well, there's a key word you said there is support. So clearly we're on the same page there. The best leaders build other people up. Superstars build themselves up. Yeah. Leaders build up other people. I've just got from you just in a short conversation that you haven't built yourself up once. Like you're all about like building up other people, and you just said it there. One of the key to leaders is supporting other people, building them up. So on the other side of that, one thing that is important, in particular in your type of position, like that ball player position, is building relationships, which you're a genius in other areas of your life and business and stuff. So is that what you brought as a person on a footy team as well, is those relationships that are important, because the most connected team wins. And you, in your sport, doesn't matter what sport, by the way, the most connected team wins. So there's people that might not even know what OzTag is, but there is also a very large community of it. And there's tournaments going on everywhere. There was a World Cup recently in Ireland. The most connected team wins. Did you see that as a responsibility to connect a team?
Oh, like that's my. If I could say my biggest strength in anything, like you just said, if life, business, sport was actually that part. It wasn't even on the field; it was off the field, at training, after the game, before the game. That camaraderie. That's why I play sport. And it's just invaluable. Like, the teams, I'll tell you, I've played. I'll go back to OzTag and I'll refer to OzTag. Sorry, I played in a tournament years ago now in the men's opens, and we were stacked. We had a really good team, superstars right across the board. But it was funny. We bummed out in the quarterfinal, and it was very unexpected. But you look back, and no one wanted to work hard for each other. Like, no one wanted to do the little things, you know. Like, we just sort of, everyone was trying to play for themselves. And then I've played in a side that, talent-wise, not even close, but everyone played their role. We got everyone to training. Everyone bought in. Like, every night we went to dinner, everyone was there. Like, those little things. And then we went on a good run. Like, we won 3 nationals in a row. We won like 5 state cups or something. Like, this team was just, and people scratched their heads when we beat them because they were stacked and we weren't, you know. But
that's when I say, doesn't matter what sport. So the people listening, there's all sorts of sports, people listening, different sports and business. It doesn't matter what sport. that's not a little thing that you mentioned. In fact, lately I've been speaking to some businesses, right? And some of them are huge businesses. We come down to a constantly referring to topics that pop up in these speaking engagements, or sometimes they're ongoing kind of follow-ups with these business, right? Communication pops up all the time. Connection pops up all the time. Little things would change. I don't call them little things. I actually call them NLTs. And we'll do a whole series of work and education and videos and whatever and chat and whatever. But basically, NLTs stands for not little things.
Yeah, right.
Because they're massive things. So you just said little things there that won you a World Cup tournament or whatever, right? But it doesn't matter what business is going. Everybody knows connection is important. Everybody knows communication is important.
Yeah.
But you have to invest time in it.
Yeah.
And you have to invest effort into it. You have to invest in your people. You can't just say that it's important. So communication as well. Talk to me about that on the footy field. Like, how important is it to communicate well? And what have you taken out of learning that on the footy field now in your business life?
So my business life, my actual job that my day-to-day, I'm a state sales manager.
Yeah.
So I've got 10 sales reps under me.
Yeah.
So I deal with that, right? You're dealing with problems every day. You've got to encourage, you've got to motivate.
Yeah.
And I've got, like, all my team are all completely different. We've got such a diverse team.
Yeah.
So I've got to get creative and I've got to adapt. I've got to be really adaptable to the different personalities. So, yeah, look, a big thing on communication is exactly that, hey. It's like I feel the best way to combat anything is preparation. Like, I've got to really be prepared and take time. Yeah, I've got to take the time, really take the time to listen. So I don't dictate, or I don't tell everyone how to run their days, how to run their weeks, their months. I do the exact opposite. Like, I ask everyone to, again, express themselves, because everyone has a different flavour, and then I can just support. I just sit back. Look, I kind of refer to it like with bowling. You got the bumper bowling, when they start to head towards the gutter.
10-pin bowling, yeah.
10-pin bowling. When they start to head towards the gutter, you just bump them back into the middle, like that's sort of...
So you're the bumper.
I'm the bumper, yeah.
Or what about that thing that you roll it down?
Yeah,
and
you could be... Yeah, well, that's it. That's your...
That's you. Yeah.
So that's your coach. Like,
good analogy.
A coaching... I've got 2 kids myself, and that's the same, They're going to make their own decisions, and they're going to have to, right? So you got to let them.
Yeah.
And then when they're heading towards the gutter, you just bump them back to the middle. And
well, do you know what? Yeah. That's what your product's doing.
Yeah.
Like, put those red ones on your hand for me. Give us a look at this. So for the people listening on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, you can't see this, but he's basically putting something on his left wrist, and now he's putting it on his right wrist, and he's going to put his hands in a position to catch a ball. They're bumpers at the 10-pin bowling, mate. They're not letting your hands go too far.
Mate, they're not, that's right.
They're keeping them exactly where you want them. Yeah. And I see there's 3 different ones there.
Well, this is the progression. So this is the middle one. There's a bit of give. I'll start from the start. So you got the development band, which is a bit of extra width.
So that allows a little bit more movement.
A bit more movement, but it's also ideal for your AFL, so you can hand pass and release. Yeah, so there's a bit of of movement there. The progression band, also good for AFL, rugby, all the multi-sports, right? But it's got a little less give than the development band.
Yeah.
But your hands are a little bit tighter. You start to progress. That's why it's called the progression band.
Genius. And what do we got here?
This is my favourite one, right? So the elite band.
Oh, well, because you are elite.
No, that's not.
Yeah.
So the elite band, it's tight. So your wrists and your hands have got to work together. There's not much give there. So there's that saying, well, any sport really, what is it? Dirty fingers, clean palms. You should be catching with your fingers.
Yeah.
Because your fingers and wrists work together that way. Everything, keep it in your fingers. where this
I can
encourages
see your
that.
technique there. Yeah, I'd love to be in a studio where we can watch you catch a pass. Yeah,
Yeah.
a lot of thumb, a lot of wrist, a lot of fingers.
Yeah. So so look, that's how it is. But the sports, AFL, it's massive catching away from your body. You spend most of your time trying to catch away from a defender.
Yeah.
Rugby union, exactly the same. You got your line outs, but then it encourages that good follow through. They love, rugby love that follow through.
Well, you told me you were with the Rugby Sevens Australian coach recently, just playing around with this stuff. They loved it, right?
Oh, well, I met with John Manenti, the Australian Rugby Sevens coach. What a great guy,
Because I find rugby union, rugby sevens, I find them very, very detailed on their catch and pass.
Oh, they just once they put the elite bands on. We were in Moore Park there, their indoor training centre, and a couple of the boys, they chucked the bands on, and they were just doing simple catch pass. But I was watching their facial reactions, and you could see, when someone they were actually taken back by it a bit. They were like, how good's this? Like they were. And it just encouraged that follow through. They had no choice but to catch with their fingers and fire through to the target. And there was that great follow through. And I give a heap to John Manenti and the boys. So hopefully they chucked them around through the week. So
that must be pretty cool to know that you and a mate just come up with a product originally to tag someone, and now it's a global sport.
Yeah,
the sevens tournament. Before
Absolutely.
you know it, the Fijians will be using them, the English will be using them.
Yeah.
Well, already there's French, there's New Zealand. So it must be pretty cool to think your passion for coaching and fundamentals has kind of come out in a bit of a product. But so let's go to your coaching then. And is there any coaches you look up to or have idolised or followed or... I know there's certain influences in you, even that school straight away, Westfield Sports School, straight away influenced you from day one, and there's some good people that have helped you along the way. So I'm going to throw that to you. Is there any coaches that you really look up to in this space? Yeah. And then I'm going to throw a few names at you, and I just want you to I want your first impression that comes to mind. So any coaches?
Yeah, so, yourself, H. Yeah,
you don't have to talk me up.
No, I don't. I don't, mate. I don't.
Go to someone else. Go to someone else.
But
I appreciate
your passion, mate. Your passion and the way you look at things. You're a detailed guy. I love that.
Yeah.
Part about
next.
If I go back, Westfields was more about my peers. A lot of the guys that I played with, a couple of some fellas above me, even below me. At school. I learned a lot. Like I said, I came in to Westfields in year 10. Point. So, there was guys like Stephen Hales, who's currently the assistant coach at Manly Sea Eagles, his skill and his brain. Dean Byrne, another good mate of mine, played first grade for the Dragons. Those two guys I learned so much off as far as my footy went coming through.
Yeah.
Because I played with them and just to watch what they do and how easy it was.
Yeah.
It frustrated me, but... the Westfields coaching Steve Speechley. He coached at Parramatta lower grades, and the guy could have been anything, but he just in the end he loves his family, and coaching takes a lot of your time to do it right. You got to really commit. Steve Speech learned a lot about footy and life, from someone like that. Steve Van Gammett, who I have the Catch Pro bands with, just a great guy, good mentor. Scotty Gandy.
Yeah,
he coached us in tag and stuff like that, but he's got a footy background, but very successful in life.
Yeah,
he's probably another guy that I'd look up to. I'm sure I'm missing someone.
I'm sure, but they've had direct influences on your life. What about from afar? What coaches do you admire? Current coaches or former coaches at the top level or across the world? Is there any?
Yeah, Craig Bellamy.
What makes you like him?
Just some of the stories I've heard around Craig Bellamy and how he, everyone, from what I hear, he's a great guy, a good leader of men, but at the same time, he could be a knockabout, but at the same time, he holds everyone accountable.
Yeah,
and you just see anyone that goes to Melbourne, you either, you know what I mean. You either buy in or
Definitely.
or move on, and just some of the things. I remember listening to an interview, Cameron Smith, and they said, "What's the secret?
Yeah.
What's Bellamy's? What's Bellamy's secret?" And he said, "Oh, three things. This is how simple it was, right?" He said, "You got to be able. If you come here, you got to be able to defend.
Yep.
You got to be as fit as you possibly can.
Yep.
And you got to play your role. Like how simple is that?
Yeah. Yeah.
If you're someone that goes there, you can really narrow your focus and."
Yep.
So Craig Bellamy, definitely. Wayne Bennett, I like, I hear yourself, you talk very highly of Wayne Bennett. Obviously, he's done everything in the game.
Yep.
Just some of the things, I guess he's a people person, that's a big deal for me. Coaches, any other coaches?
I'll tell you, I had your wife on this show, which we haven't even gone there yet. We mentioned Wayne Bennett, and she met Wayne with me once, and Wayne made her cry. We talked about that in the episode. So if you haven't listened to that, Haley Butler was another episode, an elite Australian representative, international athlete, now coaching, doing great things. You two are very similar. I probably should go there, actually, about playing the supporting role of an elite athlete. We should go there.
Another Westfields athlete.
What's she doing with you?
You know what?
Yeah.
It's amazing how many people actually say that, mate. I'm a good salesman.
Yeah. No. She's found a good one in you, brother. Now, where were we? Talking about coaches. I tell you the coaches you would love. Mate, it's almost your love of fundamentals. It's like we share the same and its influences right through. Like you talk about Brian Smith, you would have loved. Attention to detail. In fact, if Brian knew these products existed, he would have been the first coach to buy them, I promise you.
Yeah.
And then coming under him was guys like Daniel Anderson, lover of fundamentals. He would give little coaching cues that he definitely picked up from other sports, even like cricket, wicket keeping, that style of stuff. Daniel was big on fundamentals. And then people he influenced like Trent Robinson now, like Trent Robinson at the Roosters, who's had that kind of influence. Like there'd be... and you think about like when we talk about these basic fundamentals in the 60s, like the Dragons of like who then influenced people, who then influenced Rod Reddy, who influenced me, like all these great coaches, they're going to be the same fundamentals in another 100 years. Like that fundamental is there. Yeah. So this product goes forever.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But back on that, like we just mentioned, your wife, Haley. So she's probably influenced you from a very technical sport, like sprinting and sprint hurdling. The tiniest of details has such an effect.
And discipline, and preparation and all that sort of stuff. So she's just phenomenal.
She would have influenced you to the point. She would be watching this episode and you've mentioned this bloke, that bloke, that bloke, and you forgot to mention your own wife. So she's probably thinking,
sorry.
Come on, mate. But yeah, like seriously, like another topic altogether, playing the supporting role of an elite level athlete because they're highly strung come competition time. I don't know what your wife was like at home. Like I knew what she was like in preparation and training and stuff. The ultimate professional, your wife.
Absolutely.
Holy.
Yeah.
Seriously, like we went there in an episode, like you're talking 6 months after having yours and her first child, she's on the track qualifying for a Commonwealth Games. Like her level of work ethic and discipline that now she's passing on to other people in a can't beat speed business and coaching of her own is next level. But they're highly strung. Like everyone come competition time, it gets pretty funny. Like even at home with your own kids and they're playing a big game, like you know.
Oh, I see.
And like I remember working with like Danny Green was a classic fighter, boxer, world champion, 4-time world champion, and close to fight time, you could almost schedule in his program when he was going to have a blue with his wife. You could almost schedule it, We were in Biloxi once for a weigh-in, world title fight. His wife's just flown all the way from Perth to Biloxi, Mississippi, right, in America. And he tells me, go in there, tell her I don't want to talk to her. Get upstairs, she'll be waiting. Go tell her I don't want to talk to her. I was like, mate, she just travelled the whole way to see you and support you Like, because you've seen him after fights. The first person he thanks is her, Nina. Great, and his kids and all that. Like, he's such a great family man.
Oh, he's a great guy.
He's a beauty, right?
Yeah.
But he's so highly strung. In particular, you're trying to make weight. There's a weigh-in. There's so much going on, and he's going into this press conference in the weigh-ins, and he says, "Hayden, go tell my wife I don't want to see her." So I had to go up and tippy-toe around and go, "Oh, Nina, just come over here, sit here. Like, we're running a bit late. He'll be up in a second." And they had their standard scheduled blue. That happens. And then he goes, wins his fight, and then obviously thanks her straight away, first person. What's it like with Hayley? What was she like? Have you got any stories like that? Like, what was it like?
Yeah, look, Hayley, it was funny. She at home, you'd never knew like where she was at, because she just literally stuck to her day and she never changed a bit. But when we and it was pretty full on. Our lifestyle was pretty full on. I had a full-time job. We had kids. So my first child, then my second one came, and all the way through she kept competing and making teams. And so then to make an Australian team, H, you're traveling you're traveling around the country.
Yeah.
So we were in every state. There was one night there, she actually competed in Queensland, then competed in the same night. She competed in Queensland, ran a B qualifier, and then flew back to Sydney and wanted to do another B, so she competed on the same night in Sydney.
I forgot about that.
Yeah. So she competed. It's crazy, eh? And we had 2 kids at the time, and
2 races in one day.
Two races one day,
kids,
2 different states, and but yeah, look, I could tell you, there is some stories on the track. Like when I've gone, Hayley would come out and she'd run a time that she wasn't happy with, or
I wouldn't want to be there after that.
So I never knew what to say. I'd come up and say, "You okay? What do you think? You think I'm okay?" So there was later I actually asked her, I said, if you don't run too well, what do you want me to say? Like, how do I?
Oh yeah, what was her answer?
How do I approach it? She just, I think it was just like, just don't say nothing. Yeah. Like she'll initiate it. You know what I mean? Like I'd just come there and like, hey,
well, yeah, because that's new territory.
Tread on eggshells. Yeah,
that's new territory for me, because now with kids, I mean, as a parent now, like kids are at a level and a fairly elite level with their sport where they're taking it a bit serious, and if let's say they feel they've had a bad game, it's new territory for me, because I got to choose to be like, is there coach mode, is there parent mode, is there mate mode, is there so only recently my son wasn't too happy with his own game, and there'd be a lot of parents, I would imagine, will go and tell their kid, and usually with all respect, there's a lot of parents that are usually the first thing they're doing is blaming someone else. My kid's a superstar or whatever. Like, I would never do that.
Yeah.
I'll never piss in his pocket ever.
No, I'm honest. Yeah, I'm honest with kids. Yeah.
But what I do though, I leave him alone. Like I don't know if I'm doing the right thing, because he might want me. I don't know. I should ask him like you asked your wife. I just leave him alone. I don't critique him. I don't try to coach him. I'm there as his support. I'm there as his dad. If he wants an arm around him, because I know an hour or 2 later or next day later, he'll come and ask me my opinion.
I was going to say that, because the exact thing happened to me with my young bloke. I went at him after a game because he didn't have a go, and he could have done so much more and all those things, right?
Yeah.
But you're asking, and this is when he was like 12, you're asking a 12-year-old to, how many things you have to get right in a game of footy to have a really good game?
Yeah, when really at 12 you should be saying, did you have fun today? You know
what I mean?
Hey, great, I love that early catch you did,
So, I remember doing that, but now I don't say nothing, because at my son always, I know, I can feel it. I can actually feel it in the car.
Yeah.
If it's just him and I in the car after the game, I wait for it, he'll say, how do you think I went?
Yeah.
But I won't say nothing until he said that. And then I'm honest. But I you know what, if you played a good game or a bad game, I don't have to tell him. Yeah. So I just try and, I've learned from, some good people out there like yourself, these mentors, same thing, like more recently I've learned I've actually learned a lot from Steve Isdale. He's at the West Magpies. He's doing the Harold Matthews out there. He's so passionate, right?
Yeah.
He's so passionate about the game and about not even the game. It's more about helping and development. I talked to him a lot lately, and he's so passionate. You think, oh, like this guy, you know, he's so full on. But then if you really pull it back, he's just. I've taken so much information from him, right?
Yeah.
Because he's got these two young boys, Alex and Isaac, that are young guns coming through, mate. Like they're ones to watch, right?
Yeah.
So it's really, he's got to be on his game because these guys, it's such a rise and fall for them. You know what I mean? There's an expectation there for these kids. Yeah. So I'm learning. As I'm going, I'm learning from him as well.
You're on a bit of a coaching journey yourself, but it was interesting the same approach you took with your wife. Parents could maybe take that approach with their kids when you think about it.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of kids, mate. You know what they dread? The car ride.
Yeah.
They dread it, mate.
I've seen it.
So I mean, this is probably a whole new episode on. Actually, probably the best way to do it would be to ask the athletes and ask the players themselves, because so I'm used to working in a professional environment where there's a game, you let them get over it, you let them mentally get over it, physically get over it, then you might review it 2 days later, and it's a pretty thorough review, detailed review, a bit of video, a bit of chat, a bit of presentation from all different coaches and the areas they need to focus on. Then there's a level of, the great ones. The great ones are students of the game anyway. The great ones are studying their game anyway and reviewing it themselves. But there's a process, there's a very detailed process and a deliberate process of letting them get over it, letting them, whether it's a win, let them enjoy the win, whether it's a loss, let them feel it, let them, like you'll review a couple of days later, but you think about it. Now we're chatting, how many parents just get in the car and just do this full, thorough review? Like there's elite level players that couldn't handle that, which is why we deliberately wait a couple of days to. Well, sometimes coaches might knock it over the next day, but there's a lot of kids out there that are dreading the car ride home and dreading the car ride to the game. You know?
Well, and look, and this is a big thing also, how the Catch Pro bands came about, right? A lot of people, coaches, parents, they just expect their kid to go out and perform. They expect them to win, or they expect them just to be perfect at everything.
And do the perfect play they saw on TV the night before.
Right? But like I probably refer it to like a construction site, right? If I told you, H, who's never built in your life, Hayden, go build that house.
Yeah.
And you'd, like, where do you start? Yeah. And then I come back and say, you didn't build it. Like, I'd expect, you know what I mean? Like, you can't.
Know what I'd probably do? Because I am a hopeless builder, right? I am hopeless. My family will tell you this too. I'm not too good on the tools. But I would also, first thing I would think of, well, I need to build the foundation somehow.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure that's where you're about to get to.
Yeah, I was heading there. That's because, right, yeah.
But then I'd have to work out how to build the foundation. I have to learn how. I'd have to have people teach me. I'd have to have the resources to do it, which now I look at this, they're a resource. And then I'd have to really want to do it. Like, I'd have to want to put the work in. So when I think about this now and that, like, we know the early catch is important.
Yeah.
You've got the resources now to help you do it. Like, I would need certain resources to build the house, right? Certain tools, certain products, certain supplies. Then I'd have to really want to do it. And it comes down to the coaches now and the parents now to have to really want to just nail in on just getting those fundamentals right.
Exactly.
I'm sorry I cut you off because I just pictured me.
Mate, that's how you do things. Yeah, it's good.
When you said go and build a house, the first thing, like, I actually thought, what if I had to build a house?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, but I think
Keep
that.
going, mate.
No. Look, it's jump in anytime. Like when we're just bouncing backwards and forwards. But the big thing I find, I'll refer to a couple of sports here. So if it's rugby league, I see there's an overlap. There's an overlap out wide, and I see parents, and I hear it every week. Like, why didn't they pass the ball? Like, we had a chance, we had an overlap, but instead of maybe those kids, every kid in that back line, there might be 5 kids, they don't know how to catch and pass properly.
Yeah.
Especially under pressure.
Yeah.
When you've got, a couple hundred parents screaming at them, you've got...
and the loudest one is the parent of that one on the wing who wants to see their player get the ball. Or the play's coming from there and they want to see that one on the left-hand side get the ball.
But that's how it is.
Yeah.
But everyone's got... But that's the thing. This is where this came from, was you got to pull that right back, and you can't expect them to just build the house. Like, you can't expect them... The house is the try in the corner, right?
Yeah.
You can't expect them to score that try in the corner if we haven't showed them exactly how to catch or how to pass properly, where the target is. Then when you're catching, where to present the target, get that right catch, be able to run, pass. You got a defender coming. Look, all those things these kids have got to think about, right?
Yeah.
But it's any level. Like, you're a trainer at the elite level, and all you did was practice fundamentals, like all week, all year, for years and years, right?
Yeah.
And that was a big thing. If it's AFL, how can you expect the kid to take the mark?
Yeah. Oh, I've got a good one for you. How about this? We just keep cutting each other off.
It's good, mate.
Well, I cut you off.
Yeah, I normally do it worse.
Here's one for you. So, as you remember, like, you're a Para fan, weren't you? No, sorry.
Tigers.
Oh, sorry, you're a Tigers.
Yeah, I shouldn't say that, but I'm a Tigers man.
Your wife was
Haley was
training at the Eels.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So, as you remember, Jarryd.
I'm a Para Junior.
Jarryd, you're Para Junior. As you remember, Jarryd Hayne, superstar, made the sacrifice to give up his contract, follow a dream. His dream was NFL, right? So, I wasn't working for him at the time, but obviously I had a lot of years.
Didn't you go over there with him?
Yeah. So this is where I'm getting to this story. So I went with him on his first journey when he made the call, the sacrifice, let's get on a plane, let's get there. In the meantime, as we were preparing to leave, the media hype was crazy. I don't know if you remember.
Mate, I bought a Jarryd Hayne shirt. Yeah, I love it.
The hype, even before he left.
Yeah.
There was a whole section online. You go to dailytelegraph.com and there was rugby league, football, soccer, AFL, and then Jarryd Hayne. He had his own section, right? Like, it was huge news. And anyway, everyone wanted to catch him before he left, and he agreed to do this one story, and we're doing some training. And the photographer, I'll never forget it, because my son was there doing burpees with him and everything. My son would have been, very young.
Yeah.
I remember Jarryd doing catching and passing with him, teaching him catching and passing in the gym. So these memories are just coming back now, but the story I'm getting to, he did allow one photographer that day. Greg Porteous, one of the best photographers ever. Every time I see him, I say, hey, best in the business. He's a beauty and a great bloke, right? Greg came out and took this photo. And the picture on the back page was Jarryd catching a ball, but his hands in this certain picture, this one frame, weren't perfect, because the NFL are really big on where your hands are with that catch, because you got this ball spiraling. So Jarryd rings me, says, mate, get on the phone to the photographer. He's got to remove that picture. Get it off, because that picture is there forever, and it's going all around America right now, and every coach is looking at that picture going, those aren't the hands we want. Yeah, so Jarryd was like, remove it, delete it off the internet, get it off the website, get it off the news, get it off the back page, because he understands that was a first impression of someone somewhere in America was reading that and just going, no,
wow,
hasn't got that. And that's how much he cared about it, to the point, I wish we had the orange ones. He needed that because they want them really close. So we need the elite.
Well, that's exactly right, mate.
How'd we get onto that?
No,
how'd we get on to talking about Jarryd?
Oh, it was a good story, but
yeah, mate, what an achievement! Can you believe? Never played NFL.
Mate, he was a freak
in
athlete.
His life. So they reckon, I could be wrong here, but they reckon 10 million kids play high school football in America. 10 million. That's half of our country. 10 million people play high school football. Jarryd never played high school football. He played rugby league at Westfield, your school, and a great school that's churned out all these athletes. He played rugby league, but never played NFL. There's just so much detail. So they reckon 10 million. Then I think it's something like, correct, there'll be someone's going to write a comment on YouTube. You don't know what you're talking about, but because I might have the stats wrong. But then it's something like 6% of those play college football.
Wow.
Wait for it. In college football, there's 100 in every squad. 1% of them play NFL. 10 million, drop it down to 6%, drop it down to 1%, play NFL. Jarryd never played it in his life. Went over there, we jumped on a plane. He studied it like you wouldn't believe. He surrounded himself with good people, good resources, good people, good teachings. He really wanted to do it. Obviously, the evidence was there. The sacrifice was there. He left $1 million deal and he just tore it up, just went.
Yeah.
No guarantee, no money, no nothing. The first thing he did, he went to the first thing he did was say, get rid of that photo with my hands out here. And he went to, I was with him, went to Target and bought a little NFL ball and went down the park practicing these catches. And his mate Ray was throwing him these balls and he was, I remember it clearly. But anyway, to then be starting on Monday night football, the opening round of the season at Levi Stadium in San Francisco, that was ridiculous. That was crazy.
Well, I know. I watched it. I watched
And
every preseason game. We all bought the jerseys and stuff at home, and it was just it was crazy, wasn't it?
Yeah,
number 38.
38. But the catch.
So the catch is massive. It goes right across all those sports. Goalkeeping. I had a goalkeeping coach who does. I think he does the institute, like the New South Wales Institute. He used them and loved them.
Yeah, right.
Like I said, when your hands are working together, or if they're together and you can't separate them, then the footwork comes into play. Same as slips catching. Yeah, in cricket, about catching, you can't get lazy and throw a hand out. Your footwork's got to go with your hands.
Yep.
Rugby union, big deal. Those line-out catches, but then that early catch, that follow-through on the pass. AFL, catching away from your body, they refer to the long arms and the short arms.
Yeah.
The hand passing, catching below, behind, above, like all these things. Rugby league. Yeah. We spoke a lot about rugby league.
Yeah.
Oz tag, you got tagging two hands. Yeah. Even yourself in league and union, these types of sports, defending.
Yeah.
You start with your hands together.
Yeah.
So all those sports it's relevant for, and it's been exciting. It's been a good thing. Early in the piece, we didn't put too much work into it because we had our day jobs and stuff like that, and also I didn't want to just get the wrong people involved. I've really been patient with who we have involved with it and who we put a name to it, etc. So it's good. It's we're in a good position, and like you mentioned, Adam Innes over in France. Yeah. So he's come on board now. He's in charge of the pathways of the French Rugby League national team. Yeah. We've got another guy, Frankie Burke, in New Zealand. Yeah. He's associated with Silver Fern Sports.
Okay.
He coaches at Hamilton Girls High. They're a great rugby school for the girls coming through.
Yeah, okay.
A lot of Silver Ferns and that come out of there. So
good. And I believe you're looking for possibly some ambassadors. I've recently recorded with someone in here who is perfect for this, which I'll give you his contacts after.
Yeah, appreciate that.
You should be looking at some of the players I've had on here because they also value it. Because you want people that believe in it and value it. So I think people, we keep going back to the product. We don't even need to. It sells itself. I'm going to throw a couple of names at you and you tell me what you think of them. And I'm going to mention, because I know you would have played with him as a junior, does great things in the game and for people, and talk about fundamentals and talk about encouraging kids to express themselves and a love of the game. He's come to mind because he used to go into my son's school. And my son's school at the time, in primary school, the school he was at, to be honest, the rugby league was maybe once a year, if he was lucky. When you grew up, you played every week. I reckon it was the school he was at the time.
Yeah.
Not as much. They obviously did in the playground, but not as much, If it wasn't for Mark O'Mealy. who instilled a love of rugby league into some of these kids that I now watch on the Central Coast doing great things, and some of them going further in their careers. But he instilled a love of rugby league. Now, did you play with him as a junior?
I played Harold Matthews and SG Ball with O'Meara.
Okay. Yeah. Well, let's just go. What first comes to mind? Because everyone loves the Ogre.
Well, Ogre, mate, he was the toughest player I've ever played with, against, whatever, right? Been affiliated with. Yeah. A good guy. Like, he came in, I remember the first game. We played against the Bulldogs. And he wasn't there at the start of the season.
Yeah.
O'Meara came into the team 2 or 3 weeks into the season. And I'll never forget, we were 17.
Yeah.
And I turned up to Belmore and I came into the sheds and there was this guy there with tats.
Yeah.
17-year-old.
Yeah.
This big man.
Yeah.
And I actually said, look, because he didn't come to training that week. I was like, who's this bloke? Yeah. And someone, it's a new guy. And he came out, and from that game right through, he just terrorised everyone. Yeah. He terrorised the competition. Actually, you know what? It was against Illawarra down at the Steelers. That was his first game, sorry. Yeah. Right. He came out and just terrorised the competition. Toughest guy I've ever. And because I was a little fella, I played a lot of hooker in Harold Matthews. They put me in there. Like, I got picked as a fullback, but I ended up playing hooker. And so I got to, pack in with O'Meara. So I started a lot of fights he finished.
well, no, because I was remembering, I knew where you'd played, and I was thinking same age. And he has instilled a love of footy in a lot of kids.
Yeah, great
But
guy.
I thought I'd just ask you your impression of him, because, mate, it would have only been a year or two later, and he was playing State of Origin. Like he was playing.
He went straight from SG Ball to first grade. Like, I think. So he played at Jersey Flegg or whatever it was then. Like, he went straight from SG Ball to Jersey Flegg, and then apparently just brained that competition. They won the comp.
Yeah.
Like North Sydney Bears won the comp that year, and then he just kicked straight on. Like, he went straight to first grade, and then off he went, and
okay, so
on his journey,
We've dropped his name. Right.
Another guy similar is Brad Moran, really good mate of mine.
Yeah.
Tough as they come. Same thing. Just a passionate guy, great guy. Clubman at the Bulldogs. He would have played with O'Meara as well. I'd have to mention him in the same breath as O'Meara, because they're both very similar, Very similar, just tough guys, Okay. Good blokes.
Here's one for you. Because you mentioned Westfields a few times, I'm starting to think Westfield athletes, and I'm starting to think of multi-sports, because I'm a huge believer in multi-sports. Now, the guy I'm going to bring up, what an athlete. But I'm also bringing it up because you love the West Tigers. I bet you know who I'm thinking here. And I'm also bringing up one of the greatest grand final tries ever, 2005.
I was there, mate.
When the West Tigers won. You were there, were you?
It was one of the greatest days of my life.
Days of your life. Okay, Pat Richards.
Oh, big Patty, yeah. So he was in my year at school. He's a year younger than me, though, so I didn't play footy with him coming through, but I went to school with Patty, lived near me, actually. I think my wife coaches his kids in the sprints.
Okay.
I'll tell you, last Wednesday I was down the park with my daughter.
Yep.
Paddy was down there with his daughter, and they were kicking. They were doing kicking practice.
Yeah.
Yeah, so.
He can kick.
Oh, he could kick it. Well, I remember playing Oztag with him once at Wattlegrove at Liverpool, right. And the ball went dead, so it's a dropout. He kicked it on the roof. So it went over the field and landed so he got a boot on him.
Mate, I think he's pretty famous in England. I'm pretty sure he kicked a field goal from like 50 metres out from like near the sideline, like for Wigan. He's a legend in Wigan. Yeah. I visited Wigan just recently, walking through the coaching office at Wigan November last year, and there's Pat Richards on the walls. It's like going to the Roosters and seeing Brad Fittler on the wall, like
going to Wyong and seeing you on the wall.
Pat Richards is a legend over there.
He's a good guy, mate. He's a great guy.
West Tigers fan.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, I was there that day, actually. Halesey, who's the assistant for Manly, we lived together at the time.
Yeah, right.
We had a unit at Toongabbie, and it was a bit of a flea palace, but it was good time, great time in my life, actually. And we we went to the 2005 grand final.
Yeah, right.
Mate, we were just drinking in the pub, and then we got tickets, members tickets.
We
didn't plan to go there.
Yeah, right.
And then it turned out look what I would have missed. You know, we're both Tigers fans, so yeah.
Should we talk about Tigers now or just leave that? Because a lot of people are negative about them, but I see, like everyone, it's a roller coaster, mate. Sport, it's not like people aren't trying there. And Benji Marshall, I know there's going to be a lot of pressure on him, but if he surrounds himself with good people, because as you know in anything, just surround yourself with good people and people that believe in you. And I know he's pretty big on fundamentals too. What do you see happening for your favourite team, and what do you think if I say the word Benji Marshall, what comes to your mind?
Yeah, look, I'll start with the Tigers. So you can't be 100% of the time, right? Like it's not just footy, like in life. Like you can't always be up. You're going to, like financially, you've got to, every now and then you got to go backwards a bit, and really bog down and, save your money and to try and to try and move forward. Tigers are at that exact spot now.
Yeah.
So they've made some decisions in the past. They haven't paid off, and now they're paying for it, right?
Yeah.
So what do you do? What do you do when you're struggling? You get tighter. So I think the Tigers just need to just tighten things up. Don't give too much information out, and try and work through it. They've got some unbelievable things going on in the pathways at the moment. They've got such this great look. They won the Harold Matthews for the first time in the history of the club. West did 2 years ago.
Yeah.
I know Paul Siren and Shannon Gallant. They're doing the pathways. One for Balmain, one for West. For West, they're pulling from Group 6. Great talent. They got the West Comp, unbelievable talent there too. Balmain, they're building that centre of excellence at Concord. They did that. So they're doing some really good things, right? They're almost mirroring what Panthers are doing. But I think if they stick to their guns and look, this is just my opinion, right?
Well, you're talking as a real passionate fan, right? But I didn't intend to do this, but I need to pass you a number on to Benji. No, seriously, because you straight went to pathways and you straight went to development of kids, and that's your space. That's what you love, and you love coaching. So you love that. You love that space that much. You've come up with a product, So, and you love that club by the sounds of it.
Oh,
and they need good people, and you're a good person. And seriously, like, why aren't you aiming high? Why aren't you going and coaching? I know you probably got other work and other business, but mate, there's something in you that comes out in this conversation. You should be involved in developing these kids. In particular, also, if people listen to the episode with your wife, her genuine passion for coaching, your genuine passion for coaching, mate, we're going to hang up from here and we're going to pass you a number on. Seriously, mate, everyone else at the moment, if I